Nature's hidden warnings, how to read the signs before disaster strikes. If you spend enough time in the wild, you learn one hard truth. Nature rarely attacks without warning. It speaks first. It signals. The problem is that most people today have forgotten how to listen. Welcome back to Extreme Outdoor Survival. If you value real historical lessons and field-tested skills, subscribe now and stay with us, because what we're talking about today is the difference between walking into disaster and quietly stepping out of its path. There's a pattern across history, you know. Ancient navigators, indigenous trackers, frontier scouts, wartime patrols, and mountain herders. They didn't have weather apps or satellite alerts, but they read nature better than most modern hikers ever could. They survived because they paid attention to signals, changes in animal behavior, shifts in wind, silence where there should be noise, and water that suddenly tastes wrong. Disasters rarely appear out of nowhere, they're usually announced. The real test is whether you notice early enough to act. Let's start with the atmosphere itself because, well, the air tells the story first. Pressure drops before storms. You feel it as a dull sort of heaviness, headaches, animals becoming restless, and winds shifting direction. Historically, sailors read this without instruments by watching smoke from cooking fires. When smoke suddenly hugged the ground instead of rising, they knew weather was turning violent. You can use this same method in the backcountry. Build a small fire or watch an existing one. If the smoke will not lift and the wind becomes gusty and erratic, stop long-distance travel and prepare camp. Reinforce shelter, secure gear, and plan for cold, wet exposure rather than pretending the sky will clear because you hope it will. Hope has killed more people in the wilderness than weather ever did. Water gives its own warnings as well. Fast rising water levels, even slight ones, are not random. In mountainous terrain, rising stream volume combined with dark, sediment-heavy water tells you something upstream is happening. Snow melt surging, a cloudburst, or a forming flash flood. History is full of expeditions destroyed not by storms overhead, but by storms many miles away, sending water down narrow ravines. Practical step 1. Never camp in dry riverbeds, even if they look safe. Step 2. If water suddenly becomes loud and turbid, move to high ground immediately, not later. The mistake people make is just 5 more minutes of rest. Floods do not negotiate. Now let's talk animals, because, wildlife is one of the oldest early warning systems humans have ever used. Before earthquakes, storms, and fires, animals often react minutes or even hours ahead of us. In accounts from ancient China to modern Japan, observers wrote of dogs refusing to settle, birds abandoning trees, and livestock pulling against tethers moments before the ground shook. In the wilderness, unusual silence is often more meaningful than noise. Songbirds stopping at once, frogs going quiet, and insects fading out tell you that either a predator or a major environmental shift is approaching. If birds explode upward in groups while the sky remains clear, do not shrug it off. Scan 360 degrees. Check slopes above you for movement. Make a plan for exit, rather than assuming coincidence. Plants speak more slowly, but they speak clearly. Certain alpine flowers actually close hours before storms because the barometric pressure drops. And interestingly, trees can creak and even shed branches when winds are not visible where you stand. Pine trees in particular, well, they warn of fire long before you ever see a flame. The turpentine smell becomes really sharp, and resin starts to leak heavily when the tree is under heat stress. History's backcountry fire survivors, loggers, trappers and scouts, they learned to read that scent change as a sign that the forest was drying into tinderbox conditions. Take that seriously. You need to change your route away from chimneys, canyons and slopes where fire runs uphill fast. Your own body is a warning system too, and ignoring it is a historical mistake repeated in expedition after expedition. Dehydration, headaches, sudden chills, clumsiness, dropping small items, and simple decision errors all signal the onset of hypothermia or heat exhaustion. People tend to push on because, well, the goal matters more in their mind than the signals their body gives. Polar explorers wrote about feeling, strangely calm and sleepy right before collapse in the cold. Sound also carries messages you can train yourself to notice. In the mountains, distant rumbles that repeat rhythmically are often rockfall or avalanches, not thunder. There is also a psychological warning no one likes to talk about, but honestly every survivor knows. Before many accidents, there is a sense of this doesn't feel right. The real skill isn't about predicting the future. It's actually about recognizing the present early enough to change direction. Nature, well, it gives you signals. Disaster only becomes sudden when those signals are ignored. So here's the takeaway that really matters. Train yourself to observe before you act. Watch smoke. Watch animals. Taste and listen to water. Feel those shifts in air pressure. And, notice the silence. Respect your own fatigue and those small mistakes that announce bigger ones. Survival isn't luck, it's attention. If you want more serious, history-grounded survival knowledge without any fluff, go ahead and subscribe to Extreme Outdoor Survival. Share this with someone who takes preparation seriously and, well, stay alert out there. Nature is always speaking.